Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of According to Sacha Podcast, the conversation series where we sit and talk with other professionals about what they have going on in their lives, in their business, and more. And so tonight I have a special guest with us. Her name is Erica Alcox, and she is the founder of In School Stomach Project. I know that's a unique name, but she's going to tell us all about it when she comes up. But first, before we get into all of that, you know what we got to do, you guys. We got to go over all the logistics of everything, right? So, you know what we got to do. Like, follow, and share. Like, follow, and share all of our platforms. You see it going across the screen. And for those who are listening, we're everywhere. We're on all the platforms, iHeart, Spotify, Amazon Music, and so forth. But we also come to you live on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So I want to say, as I always say, thank you so much for all of your support and everything that you're doing. Continue to do it. Continue to like, continue to follow, continue to share. Oh, yeah. And I always forget this part. And if any of you are ever listening on Anchor FM, I want you to share and like there as well. And so thank you for everything. Now, I do have a giveaway tonight. Okay. So if you're watching, oh my gosh, you got to get it together. So if you're watching or listening, so that's what happens when you talk too fast and try to get it all out at one time. So if you're watching and listening, I do have a giveaway for tonight's episode. Now, today is 7/21, and so tonight's episode, okay? Not the other episode, not the next episode, but for tonight's episode, I want you to, number one, you have to watch or listen to the show, okay? Number two, I want you to email me the one thing that stands out the most about tonight's guest, okay? And tonight's guest, as a reminder, is Erica Alcox, okay? And so I want you to email me what stood out to you about the guest. And you're going to email me at accordingtosasha@gmail.com. Of course, I'll put the information out here, but for those who are listening, it is according to number 2, Sacha, SACHA, @gmail.com. Okay. You have 48 hours to do this. So you have tonight through Saturday to email me the top thing that stood out to you tonight about our guests. And for tonight's show only. Okay. 7/21. And the giveaway is, if you're a business owner out there that's listening, anybody, entrepreneur, creative, whatever you have that's a product or service, then we're giving you free promotional for 1 month, the month of August. You get to have your products or service here advertised on According to Sacha Podcast, okay? And so that is for our conversation series. Now, usually it's Thursday nights. I think in the month of August, we got like 4 or 5, right? So you get a month worth of advertising, okay? And I'll go through all those details to the winner, all right? Now, I'll just be randomly picking the winner, and I might do something extraordinary about it. I don't know, but I will pick somebody who's going to win. And yeah, so that's enough for that. I want to go ahead and get into our guest because she has a lot of interesting things going on. And if you already follow me on Instagram, make sure you follow me, That Girl Sash. Like the page, According to Sacha Podcast, and follow me here on Facebook as well, and Sacha Walton, and keep up with everything that I have going on. I have a lot of things I'm participating in, speaking engagements. I have next month, there's going to be some youth activities that's going on in October and so forth. So I want to keep you all in the loop, okay? All right, so I'll be right back with you, and we'll have Miss Erica up here shortly, okay?
Hey, contact us to see how you can promote your products on According to Sacha Podcast. Entrepreneurship, small business, is something that everybody would love to do, making their own money. And this is what we will be talking about on According to Sacha.
Hey, Erica, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing good, doing good. So thank you so much for being here tonight. It's such a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be had.
Thank you. I know we scheduled this thing so far out, but I'm glad you were still available for tonight and everything.
Yes.
And so, but I'm going to get into the grit of everything and who you are, what you do, and everything. But like I ask everybody on this show, who is Erica Alcox?
Honey, that's a loaded question. Okay, so be careful asking this one here, that question. But I am a Charleston native. I'm a Geechie Gurl, youngest of 7, mother of 1, friend to many, associate to a few. I'm an educator, an author, a creative. I'm a lover of music, lover of life, lover of good food. Okay, no sugar in the grits, please don't. But really, just a person having a human experience and doing my best to be a light for people who need a light. Just doing my best to experience life as it needs to be experienced for me. And however I can be of service without depleting myself, because that's one lesson that I learned. Oh goodness, child, don't get me started. But just making sure that I'm doing my part that I was put on this earth to do.
Awesome, awesome. You said 2 things. I'm gonna touch on one first, and you slipped it in there so quickly. Okay, no sugar in the grits. So there's always the battle I see on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. People are always saying, "Is it sugar or is it what is it? Salt,
Salt,
sugar,
pepper, butter.
pepper, butter. What is it? What goes in it?" So you say no sugar. What do you put in yours?
Salt, butter, maybe a little dash of pepper, a little chicken broth, and some other little geeky things, what have you. Yes, but if we're gonna do sugar, you might as well do cream of wheat or oatmeal. Quit playing with me.
But I have to confess, because that's one thing that's why I didn't know what really went in it, because I don't like grits. It's something about it. It was just even as a little girl, my grandmother's always try to feed us. I was just like, no.
It's okay. It's okay. We gonna love you anyway.
Thank you for the love anyway. But thank you so much for sharing that part, because I just wanted to make sure, like I said, I love the conversation. I love being able to just have fun on the show, and that's one good thing. But also, it segues into who you are, part of who you are, because that's one of the things that you use in your program is cooking and menu planning with youth and children and everything. So let's go ahead and get into that. So you have the In School Stomach Project.
Yeah.
Now, so first of all, where did the name come from?
Okay, this goes back to summer 2018. Let's set the record straight. A lot of people, I'm still surprised with how many times I'm tagged in things. Erica, look, they're using it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't know it would resonate with people. I initially wrote this. I was sitting in my minivan I had at the time. School had been out for maybe about a week or 2. And I had just fed my son, like literally just fed him. And he sent me a text message asking me what's for dinner. And I'm like, sir, you just ate. You just ate. You probably still got something in your teeth and you just ate. You asking me about dinner? You not fitting to eat up my refrigerator all summer 2018. Use your in-school stomach. Meaning that when children are in school, you don't eat every second of the day. You eat during lunch. You eat when you probably get there for breakfast, and then when you get home, you probably snacking. But we're not doing this. And I wrote that. I remember because I was hiding in my minivan, just hiding, because I'm like, Lord, oh my goodness. And I know every parent can relate to, these kids home all day long. And no, the grocery bill is not about to do this. And so I just said, use your in-school stomach. And I went and minded my business. And the next thing I know, people sharing your stuff. And I saw, and then my logo got cut off and people was fighting me, telling me that they came up with it. I'm like, listen, I was just trying to make sure that my child was not going to eat up all of the food. I'm glad everybody can resonate. And so that's where it came from, and people could relate. And it's still to this day, people will say in school stomach, school stomach. Ricky Smiley shared it, DL Hughley shared it, of course, without my logo. And but I was like, it's okay. So I wanted to let it evolve into something that we all can relate to. And that's, you know, if you're a caregiver or a parent of any type, you know how you're doing your best to pass off life skills for them to be able to take care of themselves, to be able to understand, you know, resource management, and that you don't have to eat the whole pack of something in one day. No, we gonna spread this out. And then on top of that, being able to understand what a balanced meal is. They don't really have a grasp of it as much as we think they do, and sometimes they do have a full grasp. So it not only helps them with that aspect of it, but also I have adult students. So I do traditional and non-traditional students, where I'm helping people to understand how to do quick meals, especially during quarantine. I was helping people understand how to keep their refrigerator a little bit safer than what it was. I had parents emailing me, letting me know that they appreciated the fact that their child was cleaning out the refrigerator and looking at dates and just being more mindful and intentional. And it's only a good thing when you are preserving your sanity, you're protecting the groceries, as well as protecting your health, especially, you know, with the pandemic and all of the uncertainty that was going on. That was one less thing that you had to worry about. When it comes to nutrition and making it fun, and yes, let them learn how to make this. And it does not always have to be ramen noodles. And if it does have to be ramen noodles, just go ahead and pluck that little, you know, seasoning packet, and let's get familiar with these spices that are in your cabinet and make it do what it do. So that's how In School Stomach Inc. Came about. And just it's just in line with what I've been doing for years. And I know In School Stomach was 4 years ago, but I've been doing this for decades. And as things evolve and people resonate with a certain saying, I use whatever it takes to get people's attention so that they can see the bigger mission and vision of it all.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I love how you, like you said, you have that name that's so catchy. I mean, of course, because people started sharing it and putting it out there and everything else. But, you know, being able to really teach your children like about nutrition. Now, like you said, you think that they understand it and they have to grasp it because, you know, especially if they're in school. You know, your lunch meal is supposed to be your balanced lunch, you know. But of course, it's not always the best tasting lunch.
This
It's
is
not
true.
always the best or anything like that. And you'd be like, what is this? And you know, but you still have to question, you know, even what's in it, you know, because if it's too much of sodium, too much sugar or anything like that, is it well balanced? And then for you to really start this in like 2018 with your son, that, you know, get him to say, no, you're not gonna eat me out of house and home. I was just sitting there thinking, like, how many parents had to deal with that during quarantine? Because you pretty much had like almost 6. Well, no, the kids were home from school for almost a year, a little over a year.
Yeah, a little bit over a year.
Yeah, so this is 24/7, you know, and I'm quite sure their grocery bill was going sky high. So let me ask, so even during that time frame, I know you said that you were helping out and teaching parents then. How many parents really came to you and said, look, my kids are trying to eat me out of house and home. I need help. Like, what was the process with that?
It was it warmed my heart that people, first of all, understood and trusted me to help them do, you know, whatever it was that they needed to get done with their children. And plus, I at the same time public school classroom teacher, so I was doing remote learning as well. So I was doing remote learning with my students in the district, and then of course with my own son. And, you know, then I had a few friends who, you know, they were panicking because they're not educators. They're educated, but they're not educators. And there's a big difference. And everybody thinks that everybody can teach. And that's not the case. Just because you're an expert in a subject matter does not mean you have the capacity to divulge information to somebody in a matter that they would really be able to understand and comprehend and learn and apply. So, you know, shout out to my fellow educators, but it was something that it allowed people to really, really, truly understand the content that I and other family and consumer science educators, you know, how we instruct. It wasn't just about, you know, putting a pan of cookies inside of the oven. It wasn't just about sewing on a button. It's about, do you understand what these directions are saying? Do you have the reading comprehension? Do you understand process and do you understand troubleshooting and decision making? Siri and Alexa can't do this for you. You got to do this. You understand? And so there was this big disconnect that a lot of people weren't aware of, and I kind of, you know, pointed it out. And I pointed it out in a way that respected people's learning curve. I'm huge with that. I don't understand how, you know, if you're educated, an educator, and you are charged with helping people to understand and learn, how there's any room for arrogance and just being inconsiderate of somebody being vulnerable. So I always made it a safe space to not know, and letting people understand that I respect the fact that, first of all, you want to know, and I will do my best with everything that I have, everything I have access to help you learn. And if I don't know, I'm not going to fake the funk with you, and I'm going to let you know we're going to find this out together, because I didn't know that either, you know. And people tend to, you know, be drawn to that. So not only were, you know, it wasn't only just with, you know, teens and shoot, even middle school students. I had a student that wasn't in my class. He was in Brooklyn or Harlem, one of the two. And his mother signed him up for classes, met in a Facebook group, as a matter of fact, during the time when everybody was just trying to, you know, be there for small businesses. And I let her know. I was like, well, she said had some concerns about some of the things he was struggling with his school and with his classes. And I said, well, if you are interested, and I gave her the link, you know, in School Stomach, and I said, these are some of the things that I do. I use food. The kids eat. We know they eat. So I will already have his attention, and I will help in the reading comprehension and his focus, and, you know, just little things that make a big difference when they're not present. And it was just amazing to be able to see how something as simple as food, and it's always been this way in my eyes, that people bond over food, people, you know, relax over food, people, you know, figure things out over food. Is something about the magic of breaking bread that allows people to build bridges. And that's what I say about a few of my events that I do. Low Country Table, you know, come to the Low Country Table, and let's build bridges while we break bread, and have a good understanding of where each person is coming from. So like I said, traditional and non-traditional students, being able to teach things that are directly related to food, but the bigger scheme of things directly related to life skills and leadership development. It's what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And there's so many points that you made. First, I'm going to say this. I want to say shout out and kudos to you as an educator and everybody else, because, you know, like you said, just because you're educated doesn't mean that you are an educator. And I was substitute at one point, and I was just like, you gotta have a gift.
Yeah.
It has to be in you to do that. So that's why I always, ever since that experience for me, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do nothing but show teachers love for real. Like, so that's me showing you love.
Yeah.
But I love the points that you're making about, you know, the whole life skills and the comprehension, and really, you know, we eat, everybody eats, like you said, kids would eat, but it's about understanding, you know, what you're eating, but also how can you pull it together? What makes the big difference? And the only thing I kept thinking about was the home ec classes, you know, and it's almost like you're taking that approach in a sense, and you're just leveling it up. and taking it out to, the public. And that's something that we had, I'm not trying to date myself or anybody else. But, there was at one point in life, schools had that, it was like they really invested in students when, learning how to sew, learning about, how to make food, but also the portions, the nutritional factor behind it, all those things that were there in schools before. And I don't know, I mean, things have changed so much. And I don't know if it's in every school or if they do it in the same way or not. But, it's a lot of things that were once there that's no longer in demand, or the need is not there as much. And it still creates a disconnect, because there was so much in those classes that we learned. And it was just like stuff that we could, hold on to our adulthood.
Right.
It's like the decision making, comprehending, we had shop classes, we had, clothing management, all these different things where you learn how to pull it together, but it was that thought process behind it.
Right.
So, I'm just listening to you and I'm just thinking those things. And I'm like, wow, you're really putting a good spin on it and really bringing it back in a new way and making it fun. And so I really do love that about it. So thank you. And kudos to you for even doing it and taking that project on.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, somebody just chimed in to our cooking classes.
See what I'm saying? That's what everybody calls, the cooking classes. And the thing about it is, when I would get these new, loads of students each semester, and they just came in thinking that it was recess and that they didn't have to bring any supplies like, notebooks or something to write with. And I thought this was cooking class. I'm like, sir, ma'am, this is the class that happens to cook. I have a master's degree in school administration. I'm also a certified life coach. So please understand and respect that you're about to get taught today and every day. Right. So it's about making sure that not only they understand, the vocational skills, because I'm a firm believer, an advocate for everyone having some type of vocational skill, because it can never be taken away from you, with everyday life, and being able to use your hands to do something, and how that spirals all the way into entrepreneurship, even if it's not even entrepreneurship, but in the corporate world, being able to have those skills. Every person, especially in this day and age, needs some type of graphics, needs some type of social media management, needs some type of something, and all of those things are inside of those vocational classes. There's so many people taking care of their family that have vocational skills. They may not have gone to a 4-year college, and that is absolutely fine. It does not matter what your post-secondary schooling looks like. Sometimes people learn it inside of a traditional classroom. Sometimes it's in a non-traditional classroom. We have to get away from this concept of that everything has to look a certain way. And that is not the case. And that is what I teach inside of my class. Some of the classes that I taught are called Food for Life. And so it's just talking about, the nutrition across, the age span, as you go through life. But it's also going to be figuratively food for thought for your life. How are you showing up in the world for yourself? How is the way you show up affecting the person next to you? How are you communicating, with those that you know and you don't know, the people who you can relate to, and the people, it's just all of those things. And before it's all said and done, I have students who will try to stay with me all day, and I'm like, I'm gonna need you to go to your next class. But I love this class, but no, I need a break, So that lets me know that I am doing what I am supposed to do, because there's so many things. If we think back to when we were teenagers, I tell mine all the time. I say, y'all can have that. I would never, ever, ever want to repeat my teen years, because it was so confusing for me at the time. Like, why am I here? But so many things that I wish, I'll put it to you like this. I am the educator that I feel I could have used when I was a teen. I had some great, educators, don't get me wrong. And I had some teachers. So you see the difference. But there were things that I wish could have been discussed. I know teachers and educators have, so much that they're allowed to discuss. But when you start the thought process and give them things to think about and have them to come up with their own conclusions based on the bigger picture of being kind and being compassionate with everyone who may be similar or not so similar. It begins that dialogue that needs to happen. So I enjoy doing what I do. I know that there are many, many ways that we all can show up. And this just happens to be the way that I show up in the world.
I love it. So we had a couple of people. Let me see. Ari was commenting. He has a whole lot. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and go through these. So, oh yeah, home ec. Yeah, we covered that. It's like, yeah, it was definitely called that.
Yeah, it was called home economics, but as time goes by, we now call family and consumer sciences.
Yeah. So Ari, he always talk about manhood, and that's one of the things that he is all about, the manhood classes. And it's a lot. When we're thinking about what you're talking about and thinking about, it's like almost like as if going back to the basics is what's needed. And let me see. Go ahead and hear. Oh yeah, he's just in.
Yeah, he's going in on the very things that and I'm glad he said that. That teaching people who they are. I remember, especially as an entrepreneur and as a life coach, there were some times where people would look at me sideways when I would say, sometimes you can't exactly separate your feelings from your business because you feel a certain way because of something that has taken place. And who you are as a person affects the type of business you run. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody can change my mind. I'm a very open person, but the type of person you are is going to impact the type of business that you run. So, whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, whether you're in the corporate world, whether you are, entry level, whether you are blue collar, white collar, no collar, whatever have you, what the type of person you are impacts every single thing that you do. So I believe that it is always important, no matter the age of your child or the age of your student, I should say, the age of your student, that there's some type of dialogue about who are you as a person and how do you see this scenario playing out? How would you address this? And how does it impact the people who are, impacted by it? So that's at the foundation of it.
Yeah, that's really good. And and you said so much because and when listening to you talk about it all, like I said, it's almost like you got to go back to the basics. But this is the type of things that is missing. These things are missing with our kids today, or the kids that are coming up in this generation, because like you mentioned, educators can only go but so far these days. But when we had teachers in our day, and they went the extent. I don't think that there was such a limit on teachers at that time, And like I said, I'm not trying to date us or anything like that. I'm not.
Times were different. Times were different.
Times were different.
And they don't read. When I look at, I'll put it to you like this. The first set of students that I ever had back in 98, that was my first year of teaching. And I compare that to the last set of students that I had last school year. The fundamental differences is what they're exposed to. There's no gatekeeper to a lot of stuff that a lot of them are not really mature enough to handle just yet. And it's making them age faster. When I say age, I'm talking about having to deal with things that in our time, you know, we didn't have to deal with it because there were things that, you know, were in place that just, it wasn't quote unquote appropriate, you know, and people can go back and forth about their values and morals and standards and all of this stuff. But we understand when you study human growth and development, there are just certain things that at a certain age, you're not quite ready for it just yet, you know? And it's the reason why we, you know, describe things to different age children the way that we do, because we know their, you know, ability to understand something may not be exactly where it could be if we explain it a certain way. So, you know, it's always going to be a need. As long as we have breath in our body, there's always going to be a need for basic life skills, basic, you know, character building, and, you know, just that fine line. Because something is telling me, some people are like, well, you know, who are you to say that you get to teach people standards? And that's where I always come back and say, that's why it is an art. Because I always make sure that I leave my personal opinion right at the threshold of my door, because it is not my job to raise someone else's child, because I have no idea what their standards and you know, requirements are inside of that home. However, we all as citizens of this planet have a duty to be kind and compassionate towards one another. And so when I'm leading with love, I can never go wrong. Can never go wrong. And when it gets to be, you know, trivial, I know to, you know, let go according to whatever rules and what my contract said I needed to do. But I one thing I will never ever do is pretend to be okay with something that I know fundamentally with society and how humankind should be towards one another. I'm not going to go against that. But, you know, it's not for everybody, and it's a very taxing job to have had. But it has allowed me to be a part of so many fantastic families. My first group of students, their parents now, and we're connected on social media, and it's just such a joy to see them being how they were aspiring to be in this world. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I had something to do with that. And it's even funnier when, you know, I have those students who, you know, kind of used to bump heads with, but I never ever told them. I can't ever imagine telling a student they're never going to be anything. And it's unfortunate that so many people have stories like that, to where they can remember that teacher that told them that they weren't going to amount to anything. And I'm not going to speak over somebody's life like that. You know, whatever you want to do, you make sure you go and do it. I'm your number one cheerleader. I hope you do whatever it is, you know, you aspire to do, as long as it doesn't bring hurt, harm, or danger to anybody, you know, and go do it. And so to have even those students to find me after all of these years and be like, Ms. Alcox, you was right. And I'm like, was I? Oh my goodness, high five, you know. But it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I'm going to always be an educator, and I always separate that from, you know, what people automatically think, oh, you're a teacher, and they put you in this box. No, child, I am an educator. I instruct and guide and coach in so many more different, you know, levels and dynamics, different from just going into a traditional school building. You know, I write, and the last project that I did with a title of I didn't expect it. It's called "You Smell Like Outside," and I wrote it during the quarantine. And
it must be.
when I tell you, really, in all transparency, I wrote that book for myself because of some things that I was going through in my personal life.
Okay.
And I was just trying to figure out what is going on. What's really, what child, what are you doing? Or how my alter ego's like, what is you doing? What is all of this? Because you're doing too much, and just had to comb through it and figure out why was I repeating some cycles that were like toxic and just crazy, and it just what's really going on. A lot of self-sabotaging going on. So what is it that's going on? So I started writing, and always been a writer, but this was the first time where I was doing something formal.
Right.
And a good friend of mine, Vanessa Estelle Williams, she over a bowl of oatmeal in New Orleans, she was like, excuse me, she calls me Geechie Gurl. Geechie Gurl, I'm gonna need for you to get this abstract out. I need by this date. And she just really put her foot down and said, people need to hear what you have to say. And so somebody like that telling you that stop playing with it. Yeah. I went ahead and I did it. And the response, it blew my mind because I was like, oh, okay. So y'all feeling what I'm writing. So y'all going through this stuff too? Yeah. What? And it's been a ride. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to keep on writing. I'm going to keep on writing. And people have asked me to, go ahead and reignite Low Country Table, because of course I had to put it on pause because of the quarantine.
Right.
But you just never know, for anybody who's out there in this exact moment that they're listening or viewing this show, there's somebody somewhere questioning and doubting that what they have to offer this world isn't valuable. Yeah. We've all sat in that space. We've all had those thoughts. And we're like, nobody cares, and it seems so quiet. And I am here to tell you, and I'm even telling myself, because the last couple of days, I just sent a text to my friend. I said, I've been feeling kind of weird these past days. It's like, you ever felt like you were here, but then not here? And so to any person that's hearing my voice, please understand that there's a tribe of people looking for your voice. Yeah. The way that you say it. And there's really nothing new under the sun. The only thing that's new is the way that you put your spin on it. And somebody needs it. Somebody needs it. It does not matter how many people need it. It's about quality, not quantity. Yes. So as I offer that to whoever is listening, as well as to myself, please, please, please put your message out there in the form that you feel you thrive in. Mine happens to be writing. And do what you're pulled to do. Everybody won't understand that pull, but everybody understands that pull, meaning that everybody's got that thing that won't leave them alone. That means you're supposed to do it. That means you're supposed to do it. So get out of your way. Go on and do what you're supposed to do.
I know that's right. Because you say you talk to yourself and everybody else out there, but you talking to me too. It's just like you think about the different things that you have. And like you said, there's so many people that go through the exact same thing everybody else goes through. It's just all about who is going to be brave enough to come up or have the courage to speak. Yes. Yes. And really be transparent and vulnerable in that area. And, and I really like the fact of your transparency and saying like, this book has a lot to do with me, because I know when you tell me about the title, I'm thinking, oh, it's another kid thing. Like, they came in the house thinking, so she wrote a book about it.
Yeah, like, no, this book right here. Yeah, and it's exactly what it is. This is, you smell like outside. We're going outside of ourselves to try to find all of these answers. And really, we need to sit still and take a moment and dissect all of this stuff inside of us. All of these past experiences, whether they be, joyful or kind of traumatic, they shape us. And it goes back to what we said earlier about who are you as a person? How do you show up in this world? Why do you show up this way? Why do you allow this? And why do you sabotage this? And why do you think you're not worthy of this? What is all of this tied into? I'm a person, I will tell anybody on any day, therapy is sexy. Therapy is sexy, and it's intimate because you are going to the very layers of yourself, some that may not be as attractive, but you find the reason to push through and to dissect all of that stuff that makes you do things, and you like, that's why I do that. Oh my goodness. And you mean to tell me I decided, well, I won't tell you about page 3 in the book.
You gotta buy the book to find out.
But that's why you did that. Oh my gosh. No, child, listen.
Yeah.
So it's a way, again, just show up in the world. Show up in the world and have the courage, the courage, the guts to say, you know what, I know I'm about to be in the fetal position, ugly crying underneath the bed, but I got to get to the bottom of this. You won't do it a second before you're ready. It's like a switch goes off, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to entertain drama. I don't want to entertain this. I kind of want some peace. So let me see what I can do. It's not easy, but it is possible.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things out of that, we talk about knowing who we are, but a big part of that too is being honest with ourselves and that self-awareness, that a lot of times we're not even honest with our own selves. Like we know that there are some things in us that just be like, you're the reason why you keep going around in that circle. But when you come to the face of yourself, a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm back against the wall. Sometimes you come right here and you're facing yourself and you're seeing the ugly parts of you. And when you can really sit there and acknowledge that and then allow that healing and the therapy, sometimes therapy is always good. If you got a therapist, go to a therapist, all the other stuff. But sometimes therapy, when you're really being honest with yourself, is a form of therapy too. And then when you could come out of those things and overcome those challenges that's always been there, because it could have been, childhood trauma, PTSD of some kind, or whatever it is, anything that affects your mind and your heart. Those are the things that stick with you the most.
Yes.
And when you can really start letting go and just seeing yourself, trusting yourself through the process, and also allowing yourself to heal, get the help that you need, whether external or you good enough to be like, look, I'm gonna be real about this thing and I'm gonna just deal with it. Ugly cry under the bed, or everything you gotta do, shut down for like 3 or 4 days, but then you come out better. And then when you're able to allow that quality to come out in you, then you can extend that quality to so many other people.
Yes.
So I really do. I just love this conversation. Shoot, we might go to an hour. Let's do
it. I'm here. Let's go.
This is good. Okay, so we got some more. Let me see here. Ari back again. Oh, she should have. I guess he's talking about come speak. He wants to come speak at your school. Let's see what else he says. Oh, you'll love it.
Well, I'm available. I was telling you beforehand. I said I have so many social media handles, and on social media, because when people say things like that, I need to meet this lady, or I would love to chit chat and have conversation. That I don't take that lightly. In my book, I wrote inspiration has an expiration, because sometimes we feel so good in the moment, and then after that moment is gone, and maybe not, but I'm like, I don't take it lightly if I've motivated somebody in a way to want to connect. So I am Geechie Gurl TM on social media, but you'll be able to find all of that, and I'll come into the comments and give all of that information after the show. But it's and also, if you're in the Charlotte area, I have been convinced. And let me tell you about Charlotte, the Queen City in North Carolina, is where my teaching career started. That's where Miss Alcox was born. And when I tell you, really, whoever is out there, the powers that be, let's just go ahead and put this out in the universe. I really need to have a documentary or reality show or something, so I can show people how the teacher, student, and parent relationship, that dynamic, how that could look. Because I think in this climate of people pointing fingers and people saying not so kind things to whatever group of people, whether it be teachers toward parents, parents towards teachers, teachers towards students, students to it's so many people that have left the profession this past year because of the stress of what was remote learning and seeing the impact that it had that wasn't exactly the best impact. It disrupted so much that was already visible if you pay attention. If you've been paying attention for decades, which I'm that person that had been paying attention for decades, quarantine and remote learning took it and caused it to not be able to be brushed up underneath the rug anymore. Okay. And it's so unfortunate to see how there was so much misery just with education alone in the education industry. We're all stakeholders involved, and to not be able to walk away from it feeling as if though we were there together. Now, I will say with my group, my students, we had a ball. We had a ball. We had a ball because that was my goal, to make sure that I didn't add to any additional stress that they or myself was going through. So I did my best to provide a safe space for all of us, just like I did when we were on campus. I'm always going to be that person, whether it's in school, whether it's in a workshop, whether it's in a retreat, whether it's a local, no matter what. This is in this time right here that you're going to be with me. This is a time where you feel like you are safe, where you feel like you can just be, because there's so much out in the world that is, I remember saying, trouble has you on GPS. So there's no need to go looking for it, because if something is going to happen, it's going to happen. It don't need your input. It don't need your directions. It's going to find you. But one thing we have to do, if we're going to make an effort to have some type of day, let's make the effort to have a good day. Let's have an effort to have a peaceful day. Let's put that effort, because you got to have some type of effort. Even not doing anything, there's an effort to not do anything.
Doing it. Yes.
So to not decide is to decide. You can't get away from it.
Good. That's right.
So I I've been asked to do on August 27th. I think did I say it
already? You said Charlotte, but you didn't get a date yet.
August 27th. If you're in the area, and it's going to go live on my website a little bit later this week, as in Saturday, because the day is already Thursday. But it's the Rich Auntie Brunch. Okay. And Rich Auntie is a mindset. So yes, it is catered to my sisters, to my women, because that's my target audience. But trust me, I do have rich uncles too who have read the book and who chime in, and we talk about the human experience and how we show up in this world. And I've been convinced to bring it back to Charlotte, North Carolina, August 27th. Very limited seating, because I want it to be intimate enough. And it's not going to be just, people in an audience and myself and the MC on a stage and consuming. No, it is very much interactive, very much. And because I believe that's the best way for people to have an experience that serves them. For them to be able to interact and to get involved in the conversation and to apply these lessons. So if you want to call it, some sort of class with Miss Alcox, again, like I said, I'm an educator on all platforms. And I'm open to being that, because I know that's why I'm here. That's why I'm on this planet, on this floating rock. That's why I'm here. So I show up in that way, and I finally make no apologies about it. I used to dim my light a little bit because I don't want to make people feel like I know how
But
to
no,
show up without, saying that I know everything, because I don't. And I think that's
right.
why I really believe that's why so many people are comfortable with breaking bread with me and
Mm-hmm.
having the conversation with me, because I show up without ego, because I
Yeah,
want to learn from you just as much as you say that you may want to learn from me. It's a two-way
yeah,
street.
it
So
is.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and you have to have a lot of humility in that. The discipline alone, because sometimes, listening to you talk, you're very, very wise. But when you can like hone that down and just allow yourself to be in the presence of somebody else and you just on the even scale and your conversation just goes back and forth and you just learn from each other, that is so much humility there. Because it's like you said,
Yeah.
you don't have, no one has egos in the room. And when you don't
Mm-hmm.
have egos in the room, it's easier for people to really twine,
Mm-hmm.
not just physically, but mentally, and
Mm-hmm.
stimulate each other and learn and grow and everything. So I really love that. You might have to put that on tour. You might have to do a Rich Aunties tour and, go to different areas. For those who can't make it to Charlotte, you got to do it somewhere else. Because I really think that it's like a platform that you can really build, to really bring people, like you said, bring that intimate place together for people to really be intimate in their thoughts and their thinking and
It's
just
so
share.
it is, according to Sasha. You heard it here first on According to
According to
Sasha,
Sacha, that's
because
right.
it's exactly actually what I was doing before quarantine. I had done it in Charleston, I had done it in Charlotte, I had done it in Atlanta, and I was heading.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, I did it in New Orleans as well,
Okay.
and was heading to Florida after. And everybody like, get in the house. Get in the
Right.
house for
Lockdown.
2 years. And so we're going to revive it, and matter of fact, not going to, we have revived
Mhm.
it.
Yes.
So let us know where you are. I've already been told that I have to come to Virginia, and I'm not going to argue. I will go wherever I need to be.
And that's where I am.
Well, hello.
Hello. There you go. Y'all here to hear you guys. If you're looking for the Rich Aunties tour.
Yes, yes.
But
And
it's
matter
good
of
to
fact, it's the rich auntie version of the low country table. I can't
welcome
gotta
table.
salute my Gullah Geechee roots, because that's where it all started, where we break bread and build bridges, sharing okra soup truth. That's that uncomfortable but necessary conversation. So, and I forgot I had the book right here.
Mm-hmm.
You smell like
Yeah.
outside. Uncomfortable but necessary conversation. So
I
it's
love
it's just giving honor to everything that was put on my plate to share.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. And I can't wait till you get your docu-series or your talk show, you know, red tables. When you said low country, was it low country table talk?
Low
When you
country
said,
table.
yeah, low country table. When you said that the last time, and I was just like, ooh, I could see that. You're sitting there watching TV and it comes on like low country table. Erica Alcox. You having that moment with people and everything. So, oh yeah, it will happen. It will happen. It's
There it
already in the works.
is.
It's
There it
already in the works.
is.
Yes. So thank you so much. Let me put your information up here that we have. This has been really, really good. I'm glad you were here tonight. All
Thank
right,
you.
everybody. I hope that you really enjoyed our conversation, and you can Miss Erica is going to put all her contact information in the chat and everything. That way you can have all the other handles that you have. But you can always go to inschoolstomach.com and just look at all the different things she has up there. And I think you have your social media up there on that website too.
Mhm.
And but yeah, definitely, keep up with her because she got some amazing things. She got end of August. You want to get that, get registered, get in the room because it's limited, and whatever else is going to come out of this conversation tonight that will be out there. So it's soon to come. I really believe it. This has been such an honor having you here tonight.
Thank
I
you. Thank
really
you for having
truly
me.
enjoyed. You're so welcome. And if you stand by, I'll be back with you. I'm go ahead and close out real quick. Thank
Okay.
you. Any final words you want to say to the people before we go, or?
Well, I'll just say, just continue to show up. Just just please show up. Just show up, even when you feel like you're not at your best. Because even when we're not at our best, sometimes people get the most profound lessons from us. So, be good to yourself, be gentle with yourself, and just show up.
That's right. All right, you guys, you heard it here. Show up. Thank you so much, Miss Erica Alcox.
Thank
I don't know, I
you.
keep calling you Miss Erica, but it just sounds right. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night, and I'll be right back with you.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode of According to Sacha Podcast conversation series. So we really had a true conversation. I totally enjoyed it. She really spoke to my heart as well. And so this is what we do, you guys. If you want to be on this show, definitely reach out to me. My team, according to Sacha at gmail.com, if you want to be interviewed on the show. But then also, if you're interested in being a show sponsor, we can give you details about that as well. And don't forget that I do have the giveaway. Okay, so if you are listening, if you are watching, then just know that the giveaway is for 721's conversation series. And you have to tell me one thing that stood out to you. If you want to say more, that's good too. But one thing that stood out to you from our guest tonight. And then make sure you put in the subject line, giveaway 721. And yeah, I'll be looking for your email. So thank you so much for everything and being with us tonight. Make sure you like, follow, and share all of our platforms. And even those who are listening, make sure you like, follow, and share. But thank you so much. And remember to command your day in everything you do and be great. Have a good night, you guys.